Hey yo, it's your boy Caleko. Today on Mining America, we're going to be talking about how to make your own wooden polishing burrs. Best used for opals and other heat-sensitive stones. I had seen these types of burrs previously when hunting for other types of carving tools, yet recently when I tried to find them online, I couldn't find them anywhere. So we're going to make some ourselves. More of that right after this. Now, to make the burrs that I'm going to be making, you're going to need a few tools. I'm going to be making mine using a Prodigy flex shaft. I also have balsa wood dowels. A Dremel tool for cutting wood, also works good for plastic. And my screw mandrels that I got a 10 or 14 pack off of Amazon for about $6 or $7. If you're going to want to make any hardwood carving burrs, you're going to want to use a drill bit because there's no way you're going to be able to force this into a typical wood dowel, whereas putting it into balsa wood is relatively easy by hand. One of the other tools I forgot you're going to need is you're going to need a measuring tape. Well, my measuring tape doesn't want to lock down like it's supposed to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch and mark it because 3/4 of an inch is right about the perfect dowel size, or burr size I should say. Now don't forget safety, because dust is bad for you, whether it's rock dust or wood dust or even dust off of working in a vegetable plant, because if you haven't seen that video, I talk about that in a previous video. Have your dust mask. Whatever mask you use, this is a good time to have it with you, because when you go to start cutting on the wood, you're going to start creating dust in the air, and some of that stuff is going to be very small, and it can damage your lungs. Lung damage is bad, so don't forget to wear your dust mask. Whatever type of dust mask that may be, something is better than nothing. Also, since I'm talking right now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video and any other videos you truly appreciate. You're going to want a platform or something to rest your dowels on when you go to cut them, because it is much easier to cut them like this than it is to have it floating in the air and try and cut a straight line. Now, one of the other things is that if you just mark a bunch of lines at 3/4 of an inch, your dowel pieces are going to get progressively smaller. So I myself, and I recommend you, cut each one as you use it. That should keep each one uniformly the same size. Oh, and there it goes, flying out behind me. All right, I've got my dowel, and I've got my wood mandrel. Now that one was not perfectly in the center. I'm going to move it just over just a little bit and see if I can screw it in sort of next to it. That one looks like it might be off too. Now I'm not going to use the whole width of this dowel, so it shouldn't matter too much that it's going to be wobbly in the beginning. Oh, and right there it got a little bit hard to screw in. You know what? I got it though. That was a little bit rough on the fingertips. Some gloves might help, and I'm way off of center, if you can tell. It probably would have been better if I would have marked my center on this piece of dowel. Just like it would have been better if I had a proper saw to saw these pieces off instead of using my Dremel wood cutting tool. But this will be fine. Probably one of the tools I forgot to mention is this is a simple sanding sponge block that I got from the hardware store. It has a coarse side and a fine side, although the fine side is not all that fine. It's still much less aggressive than the coarse side. Yet these balsa wood dowels, they are so light and there's so much air and they are such tender wood that even the light side should be plenty aggressive enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a little angle on this You can see the flopping it has right there. I'm going to keep an angle on it because I want to get a sort of pointed shape that's similar to a bullet shape. Now the flopping is stopped. Well, not completely. Down at the base it hasn't stopped yet. I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. And there we have a polishing burr. That will work good. It's way more straight than it was. It still has a tiny bit of wobble to it. See if I can straighten it out a little bit more. Now that wobble's pretty much gone. I have a cone shape. It's not exactly a bullet shape, but this should work fine for polishing some stuff up. Run it against my finger. There's definitely no extra wobble there. So if you don't hit it perfectly in the center, as long as you're going to sand it properly to where it has a nice uniformed shape to it, you should be fine. Got a cone shape there. Let's see what else I can do. Let's see about flattening one side a little bit. This side seems to be easier, so I'm going to see about flattening it. Not quite there. Still have a little bit of a lip over here. I'm not using a lot of pressure. That's for sure. Definitely not wanting to use a lot of pressure. There we go. That's much straighter. Straighter end there. And that seems pretty centered there. Let's see how centered it goes in. Not really centering by the looks of the spin. Yep, it looks like I lost the center again. That might be from having to put so much pressure on it to get it to do what I want. It's definitely not in the center. Nowhere near the center. I actually just feel like I have to sort of accept that though. Or cut myself another piece. Okay, I'm going to flatten this one out like I did that last one. Try and make it as square as possible. Well, I mean, it's still round, but I should say the word flat, I guess. This has a little bit of an angle to it. That's pretty good. All right, so this time, let's see if I'm holding the mandrel in some pliers. Make my mark in the center. Let's see if that ends up helping it stay in the center. Yeah, I'm still nowhere near the center, unfortunately. I just can't seem to get these things to stay in the center for some reason. I wonder why that is. All right, I've already flattened this one out a little bit. Let's see if making a dot in the center helps. That is definitely in the center. Now it was really way easier to hold the mandrel in a pliers grip, although I see it's a little bit angled there. Now that is right on the dot. Yet it's still going in the side. Whoopsie, well that didn't help. Well, I will say that none of mine perfectly hit the center. When they were done, they are just not centered. Now that might have something to do with the mandrel itself, but if it does, I don't know why. I do know this, it has some wobble. I'll have to sand out of it like the last one. I've got that same sanding block. I'm going to use the edge of it to try and take out down the bottom first. Definitely taking down the bottom. Now it has a flat top on it, but it definitely has the round barrel shape I was trying for by using the side. It's spinning perfectly as far as I can tell. The top doesn't look perfect, but there is a tiny little bit of wobble in it I can feel. That's really good there. And it has a better bullet shape. So doing the bottom on the edge, although you have to be careful because I was running the lip of it into the foam padding and you don't want to tear it up. But it definitely has a good bullet shape there, and I mean if I want I can just go ahead and take the tip down to a point. I haven't done this one yet. Maybe I should see what kind of shape I can get out of this one. Three simple shapes. Now when it comes to polishing my stones, I have found that shapes that have a little bit of a rounded center tend to do a little bit better. So I'm going to see about cutting one a little bit longer and see how well I can make a rounded center on it. Now I have a lot of balsa dust floating in the air, and it's really easy to see, and it's really small particles, so it was time for me to put my mask on, which I should have done earlier, like I suggested to you guys. Now this piece I'm cutting is 1.25 inches. It is 1.25 inches. It is definitely longer than the other ones. Almost double longer than some of the small ones I cut. See how jagged that cut is? That side's better. But the good thing about this balsa wood is it's relatively easy to fix up. It only takes a second, whereas if we were working with your normal hardwood dowels, this would be much more difficult. I would not be able to sand it so easily. By hand. I'm going to go ahead and make my center mark again. Not that it's helped me a whole lot. Oh man, that's hard for me to turn. I think I got a good center on it this time. There we go. Better than any of the other ones. So making it sit down and then starting it with it flat on the table surface like that definitely helped. That definitely helped better than going and trying to do it in the air. All right, let's see what I can get out of a longer piece of balsa wood. Alright, I've got a nice cone on the tip. Now I'm going to go for the back side of the burr. Now I'm going to even out the body. Whoops, didn't mean to bump the camera. I got sort of a pencil shape there. I wanted the body a little bit wider. I definitely have a little bit of a wide body down here. I could shorten it, but it seems like it would work pretty good for me. Now, out of balsa wood tips, this is what I came up with. Now, if you use these, you're going to need each shape for each grit that you use. So if you plan on having these shapes or this sort of bullet shape, you're going to need one of that shape for each grit. You can't use an 80 grit on a 600 grit or you're going to contaminate them. Most people know that, but I still shouldn't leave it unsaid. Now let's see about making a hardwood burr. This should not be near as easy as the balsa wood. This should be much more difficult. The end of it all is actually not that bad for the cut I just made. Actually, that's the cut I just made, but I'll use this end. That'll work. Try and get the wood mandrel, or the screw mandrel, to sit inside of the wood. I have a 9/64 drill bit that I'm going to try and put the hole in. Now just to go ahead and check it, the mandrel is just a little bit thicker than the drill bit. Alright, I got my little piece I'm going to use as a burr, and I got my drill. This would be way easier if I had a stationary drill or a drill press. Whoa, did you see all that dust? Can you see all that dust in the air? I just blew it away with the drill bit, but that wasn't not something you want in your lungs, that's for sure. Need to go about double the depth I just did. And it's definitely not going to be squared, but we'll work on that. A little bit more, not quite there. Now, I think that should be about it. Once again, that drill bit size was 9/64. Did do the job. Although the mandrel's not sunk quite yet. Need to give it one more screw, one more tightening. Because this wood dowel is much tougher than the balsa wood dowel, I'm going to start on the rougher side. And some coarser sandpaper would actually work better than this block, this sanding block. This is for drywall, and it's getting it so hot in areas that it's releasing the glue, and some of the sandpaper is flying off. The sanding material is flying off. It would be better to have some coarse sandpaper and then go through some grits. There's a little bit of wobble to it. Yep, I can feel it. It's definitely bumping my finger. This side's a bit thicker than the rest of it. Still has some bobble to it. You want to get rid of the wobble. You don't, when you put it on your finger, you want it to run smooth against your finger. You don't want to have it bumping. You can't see it on there, but you can definitely feel it. Now it's pronounced, it's still not perfect. Of course, my phone is starting to die because I haven't had it plugged in. Still has a little bit of a wobble to it. Now, it being a hard wood, or at least a much harder wood than the balsa wood, could very well just be some white pine. It just takes way longer to sand than balsa wood does. Much better. Now it has a very slight wobble, but not much at all. Like, that is good enough right there. I'd have no problem using this burr now. It's a nice bullet shape. It's a hard wood, harder wood than the balsa wood, and very usable. Could even go ahead and take that tip down even more if I wanted to. But my phone's about to die, and that's what I'm recording on right now. Now let's see that tip. That is a perfect bullet tip. There we go. Got a better bullet tip on this one than I do on my others. I'm probably going to have to fix those up. Can you see all those little flecks all over my hands? How about all over my equipment? See all that flex? What you can't see is that it's floating in the air all around me right now. This stuff is bad for your lungs. This stuff is very bad for your lungs. I live in a neighborhood where some people just leave their dogs in the backyard and the damn dog barks all day long. And so that's what's going on right now. This dog is just yap, 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 yap. Probably because he wants inside the house, that they're not going to let him inside the house because they've gotten really good at ignoring him. So you ignore him too. He's just going to be in the background going blah, 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 and there's nothing we can do about it. And right now, I need to let the dust settle inside the office I was just working in, so then I can go out and vacuum all that particleized dust that's up in the air out. Because I will say that the balsa wood dust fibers, it's definitely a fibrous sort of dust, is floating in the air, and it's probably going to be floating in that air for another 20 minutes before I can go in there with the vacuum and get all of that stuff out of there. So it's not going to be a hazard to me. Now, the wood dowels I came up with seem to be really great to me. Now, especially the hardwood dowels. Yet the problem with the hardwood dowels is they're really not going to have the diamond polishing pastes and powders embed into them near as well as the balsa wood dowels will. And that's because of the air holes that are in the balsa wood, and the softness of the balsa wood is just going to accept that diamond paste, and it's really going to embed into it and last a bit longer with the diamonds, maybe not with the wood. The hardwood's definitely going to last longer than the softer wood. Now I'm going to give you a shot of the place that I ordered mine from, and it was World War Scenics. It took me a lot of searching online to find a place that had 1/2-inch diameter dowels. I did end up getting them off of Amazon, which is where that they were selling these on Amazon. Yet when I found balsa wood dowels, I couldn't always find the ones that I thought were thick enough, and I thought 1/2-inch would be the thickness that I needed, and it was World War Scenics was the company that ended up providing those for me. And balsa wood is not cheap. It's definitely not as cheap as your typical 1/2-inch dowel that you'd pay for. I paid $15.29. That was the total expenditure to get 9 dowels that were 13 millimeters. Yeah, they're like 12 inches. They're like 12-inch dowels, and they're a 1/2-inch wide. And it took just a few days for them to get here, and it was shipping internationally because they came from the UK, I believe. They came from the United Kingdom, I'm pretty sure. They were not inside the United States. But for the amount of dowels you can get off of one piece of those 9 that came, I think it's going to be much worth it. I think it's going to be worth it. I think that I'm going to get my money's worth out of dowels. The one problem for me, and why you won't see me polishing for at least a week, is I didn't order enough mandrels. I need more mandrels than I ordered, so I'm going to order another package of mandrels so I can make enough dowels to have the shapes I want for each grit. That way, you know, I'm not waiting. Now, I obviously believe that making the wood burrs yourself, as opposed to purchasing wood burrs for probably $10 a piece, that's probably what, you know, a company that would make these would sell them for. Heck, I should be making them and selling them for $10 a piece. but making them yourself, you're definitely going to save some money. The 1/2-inch balsa wood dowels that I got from World War Scenics, and I will post a picture of that inside of this. They cost me, for 9 12-inch dowels, they cost me just over $15. Now, I didn't even use one of those 12-inch dowels today, because I would imagine off of the shape that this was at 1 1/4, and these were 3/4 of an inch. So if we just round that to an inch a piece, you're gonna get around 12, maybe 11 after, you know, because when you're cutting with your tools, you're gonna lose some of that wood. So let's just say 11 to be on the favoritism side. You're gonna get 11 dowels, or 11 burrs out of each dowel. So 11 times 9, that's, you know, 99. That's 99 burrs you should get out of a $15 pack of balsa wood dowels. 99 burrs out of 9 balsa wood dowels from World War Scenics. Now, World War Scenics was the only place I was able to find balsa wood dowels that were a 1/2 inch thick. And that was really the big deal for me. Really needed that thickness to be able to make the proper dowel. The proper burr. I keep mixing up the dowel and the burr word when I mean to be saying one, and sometimes I'm saying the other. So the only reason that you're not going to see me carving live with these really soon on some of the opals that I have, because the reason I'm making these is so I can hand carve some of the opals that I have, is because I don't think I ordered enough mandrels. I need to order more screw mandrels, so I'm going to order myself another pack or 2 of screw mandrels, and then you guys can catch me live on one of my live streams, being redundant again, carving some opals and polishing them using my wooden burrs that I made at home. So I hope this video helped you in some way. I hope that if you decide to start hand carving opals and you don't want to destroy them, craze them out with heat transfer the way I did with one of the blacks that I had that I was carving on my live stream, that the only problem that I have with those Nova points is that if you're not careful, you can transfer too much heat and you can end up destroying a heat-sensitive stone, which is what I did pretty much. So to avoid that, I've now made this, and that was the point of this video in general. Once again, being redundant. So if you know somebody else that this video can help, or you know somebody else that hand carves opals that has never made themselves wooden burrs, this video helped them. Make sure you share it in all your opal groups and with any of your friends that might be interested. It'll help the channel out. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, because I need that too. I love you for watching, and I'll see you soon.